Today, we are talking about something most people experience but rarely recognize: mental clutter. You know that feeling when your mind is constantly racing and you can't seem to turn it off. Well, we're not just talking about it, we're actually going to guide you through a mental decluttering exercise. So stay tuned to the end because in this powerful therapist takeover episode of Girl Talk Mental Health, I am sitting down with a special guest, Miss Lisa King Smith, and she's going to guide you through a simple but transformative mental decluttering exercise you could do right now. So let's welcome Miss Lisa King Smith to the stage.
Hey, I'm Lisa King Smith. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I practice in Carrollton, Georgia, which is about an hour west of Atlanta. I'm also a certified professional counselor, supervisor, and a national board certified health and wellness coach. I've been in private practice for about 10 years, and I primarily work with those struggling with anxiety, depression, trauma. I work with a lot of first responders and mostly women of all ages, but also lately I'm seeing a lot more men come to therapy, so that's been a really refreshing change. And so that's a little bit about me and what I specialize in.
Okay, well, we welcome you to the stage, and I know you're going to bless the viewers with all of your knowledge, and just want to welcome you as a special guest. And also, since you work with men, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, so you're probably that
Yeah,
probably amps up your clientele of men around June. You know what I'm saying?
maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Are you
Thanks
ready
for
for
having.
this
Thanks for
impactful
having me.
conversation? Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So many people assume stress comes from their workload or responsibilities. But in your experience, what actually creates mental clutter in our minds?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, really. Just day to day life, responsibilities, just everything that we're bombarded with on a daily basis definitely contributes to mental clutter. I don't know about our mothers and our grandmothers, but I think women today, in particular, are really struggling with overload.
Mm.
We just have too much coming at us at once, and it's just kind of hard to stay focused and maintain energy levels. It's easy to get burned out when we get too cluttered, maybe even shut down. So that's what I'm seeing is just having too many tabs open, in your brain and trying to keep up with so many things all at once, and just not really knowing how to slow it down a little bit.
Hmm. So, what do you think are some of those common thoughts or patterns that people typically carry without even realizing that they've let it accumulate and overload?
A lot of it is worry, just kind of those thought loops that we get ourselves in where we just keep looping around with the same thought over and over.
Mm.
Just making sure that we're, attending to everything that needs to be done in a day. I think that's a lot of it. Social media definitely will do it. Our phones, we're constantly bombarded with text messages, voicemails, emails, notifications from all of our different apps and things that we got to keep up with, and it's just kind of hard to manage all of that. Sometimes it's just a lot of overload that we get. We're bombarded with news 24/7. Like it's just never seems to end.
And then you think that you have to ingest all of it because it's coming at you instead of with that powerful word no or not
Right.
right now or whatever. And people have a problem with that as well, thinking they have to do everything and answer every call and every text and everything.
Everything seems important, right? and
Hmm.
and we gotta recognize when things aren't important, what we can set aside, and what needs to be dealt with right now. And so yeah, everything just seems to be important, and it seems like we've just got more expectations than we can maybe handle in a day. um,
Hmm.
and I think technology was supposed to help us make life easier, but I think in a lot of ways it's made life a lot harder.
And it's interesting that you say that because I tell people a lot of time too, like With our cell phones, a cell phone could be like $500 or $600, right? But actually, to talk, like if you get a landmine these days, it's like $30, right? So
Yeah.
we're really paying for the apps that's on the phone.
Yep.
People don't even use the apps. I'll be like, hey, look at the podcast, try to find some extra. And they're like, a who? A what? You're paying for that. And these
Yeah.
apps that's on the phone and they don't even use it. And that's a good technique to help you to declutter using some of the apps that's already pre-programmed in the phone that you're paying $500 for.
Absolutely. There's one app in particular that I like to recommend to clients. This has been really helpful for some people. It's an app called One Sec. And what it does is you use the app and you load in any of the apps that you think are like a problem for you. And it will, when you click that app on your phone, it will say, "Are you sure? How about taking a deep breath?" And just to give you a second to pause so that you're not just mindlessly clicking on your apps. It
Mhm.
you'd take a minute.
So one sec, SEC.
SEC, yes.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for that tip. Y'all hear that, viewers? One sec will help you in 1 second get your life in order.
Potentially,
Quote
yes.
unquote.
Yeah.
So, sometimes people don't even realize they're mentally overwhelmed until they're exhausted. So, what are some of the warning signs that someone's mind is overloaded with emotional clutter?
Well, what I've noticed is, basically when people start checking out, maybe, it might look like dissociation, but they're really just checking out. They're mentally not there. They're thinking about everything else but what they're doing in that moment. There can be some procrastination if you notice that you're procrastinating, or that a small task just feels huge, that feels monumental, like you can't possibly take on another thing. And that just kind of lets you know that you're at capacity, that you're going to overflow and you just can't hold anymore. And those are the usual signs, the things that you can really be aware of. You might feel maybe some anxiety or some stress, or also maybe not completing tasks or getting those tasks done well, or forgetting things. I actually had this happen to me yesterday. Speaking of being overloaded, I was right at the end of my day, and so for weeks I had been planning to go to this event over at the university here in town, in the psychology department. I was really looking forward to it. It was about anxiety, and I had gotten multiple reminders about it. They were great about reminding everybody about it. I had even told a client that day that I was going to this
Mhm.
thing, right? So what did I do? I left the office. I got in my car. I went home. I walked the dog. I changed my clothes. I washed my face, picked up my phone, and was like, I missed the whole thing.
Oh,
I
wow.
missed it, and what I noticed is that, there was a small thing I needed to remember before I left. And that was I needed to get something out of the refrigerator in the break room and bring it home. And I had written myself a little note, and lo and behold, I remembered to get that.
Mm. So the key is what? What you wish you would have done differently?
I wish I had written myself a note.
Right? I call myself the sticky note queen, right? Because I have sticky notes everywhere. And sometimes a
Mhm.
client will come in my office or look at my scheduler. I have a paper one as well as electronic. And they'll look at it and they'll see those sticky notes and they'll look kind of, like, what is that? But hey, that's my system. My
Mine
system
too.
is my system. It works for me. Don't try to figure it out because you cannot. You need
Exactly.
and I need
E
mine.
exactly. Yep.
So
Good
Staples
advice.
loves me because I stay stacked up on those colorful sticky notes.
I do too.
Okay. Well, I think this will be a great time for us to take a quick little commercial break or whatever, right in the middle of the show. But what I want the viewers to think about while we on this 1 minute break, less than a minute, is what is one thought, and she's giving you several that you've been carrying that you're ready to release today. So what's one of those cluttering thoughts? And she gave you a personal example, some clinical examples. What's that one thought you've been carrying that you are ready to release today? And when we come back, she's going to give us some more decluttering solutions. And we are here with therapist Lisa King Smith, and we will be right back. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Girl Talk Mental Health. Girl Talk Mental Health dares to go where others won't. We unpack the hard truths about mental health, dissect trending topics, and challenge the stereotypes and stigmas holding us back. From navigating the 6 dimensions of wellness to redefining social norms, this is more than a discussion. It's a revolution in how we care for our minds and souls. Ready for bold, honest conversations that spark change? Let's dive in. It's time for real talk with real impact.
Welcome back to the second half of Girl Talk Mental Health, a therapist takeover. And we have Miss Lisa King Smith here. And if you missed the first half, go back and watch it because she gave you some awesome tips about how to declutter your mind. And you should have thought about some of the ways that some of the things you need to declutter in your mind as well while we were on the quick break, so that this next half could be more impactful, so that you can really, put a personal tip on it, some of the things that she's going to tell us in this next half of the Girl Talk Mental Health. So, Miss Lisa,
Yes.
when people hold on to their every worry, memory, and responsibility mentally, it's all some mental stuff. People think it's physical, but that mental is so
Mhm.
heavy. What impact does that have on their emotional health and relationships?
Well, it can show up in a lot of ways. Like I mentioned earlier, that whole piece about checking out, and just not really being present. And so that can have a big impact on relationships, whether it's your partner or your children, where you're just not giving them the attention that you want to give them or that they need. So it can cause issues in relationships. I've seen it happen with clients that are like they're just scrolling on their phone because they're kind of it's their way of coping with it. They're just doom scrolling, but they're not present. So that's a big one. Irritability can be a big one. You might snap on somebody. Forgetfulness, like my example of what I did yesterday, just forgetting to do the things that are important, or the things you intend to do. So that's where it can show up. It can also show up in burnout, because again, we've overcapacity. We're at overcapacity with ourselves. It might even cause us to really struggle to get good sleep or to really relax and unwind and check out, like we need to decompress in our downtime. We may be so worried about all these other thoughts that we keep carrying with us.
Mhm. And what about the person who is in, I guess, in a sort of a denial because they've been doing this routine for so long, and and a lot of people, because you're successful with it, you really don't see it as a problem. So, what would be one tip or advice for them to see that that really is something that they can work on versus thinking that's like normalcy and that's the only way to success?
Well, I mean, when you're going around, in your day to day, and you realize that things aren't really working the way you think they are. Maybe you're getting things done, but you're not getting them done in a way that feels, I guess, comfortable, or without rushing and stress attached to it. If you're constantly maybe holding your breath, or feeling tense, maybe your shoulders are feeling tense, that could be an indicator that maybe you're carrying more than you need to. Maybe even somebody close to you has mentioned something to you potentially, or maybe your
Mm,
relationships are struggling. That can also be a good indicator as well. Sometimes we got to be called out. Hopefully you have somebody around you that can take notice of, like, you're not really functioning at 100% like you could.
mm.
And obviously, if you're in counseling, I would hope that you would bring it up as well and maybe work on it, with somebody, a third party that can maybe help you get a handle on it.
Yep, that's a key too. And a lot of times people get offended, like you said, when you try to tell them about some of the behaviors or something that you see in them that's not unhealthy. And I like
Mhm.
to tell people all the time, like, sometimes people intentions are ill, right? They are really trying to
Mhm.
just do it to be mean and ugly and hurt your
Yeah.
feelings or whatever. But even with that, Like sometimes you have to stop and think, am I really doing this? Whatever it is they say
Hmm.
you're doing, and kind of do a self-assessment. Self-assessments are important, and people hate to analyze themselves.
Yeah,
my rule, number one rule, if you want success and to help yourself, is to know thyself, which means
exactly.
you have to assess yourself. And you
Hmm.
ask yourself, okay, is what they saying is true?
Right. Yeah, is it true? Be honest with yourself, just don't
Mhm.
be afraid to be honest and don't be defensive if somebody does bring something like that up. Because most of the time they're doing it out of care.
Mhm. They might deliver it wrong and abrasive,
Right.
but and like you
Yeah,
said, people see stuff that we don't see in ourselves. So if it's true, work on it. They
yeah,
helping you, even if they doing it in an ill manner. And if it's not true, don't worry about it.
right. Yeah,
Analyze it, whatever it may be. That's the only way you can really know all of the things that you need to declutter too, because if you don't know, you can't grow.
right, exactly.
So here we go for the juicy part. I know this is what they've been waiting on. So walk us through a simple mental decluttering exercise someone could do who's listening and watching right now.
Okay, sure. And I made myself some notes so I don't leave anything out. So I've written some things down. So I may refer to my little piece of paper here.
Okay.
So the first thing I want you to do is actually get a piece of paper. Get a piece of paper and a pen. And we're going to do what I call a mental dump. We're just going to dump. So I want you to dump whatever's on your mind. Don't worry about whether it's neat. Don't worry. Don't edit it at all. Just get it all out. Just write it all down. So we're basically externalizing all this stuff that we're carrying around up here.
All right, and I'm gonna
And
do it with y'all too. So let me give me a little piece of paper. Okay.
all right.
Write down what was the first step? First
So I
was
want
paper.
you
What paper was the first step?
first paper, yeah, paper and pen, and then I would just want you to do a mental dump of whatever's on your mind. And I don't want you to worry about editing any of it. Just anything and everything that's on your mind right now.
Okay. We'll have to limit it because it could be all day exercise.
Good, yeah. For some people, it could.
It's what I was telling you earlier before we started recording about a client that goes over the time, and then you have to
Mm-hmm.
readjust for your next appointment, and then it just have your whole day off.
Snowballs. It
Yeah,
snowballs. It
whole day
does.
off about 10-15 minutes. Yeah.
Yep. Every time. All right. So now that you've done that, I want you to sort the list. I want you to sort it between what's a worry, what's a task, what's just a memory, and then what is just noise. What's emotional noise?
Well, how am I know if it's noise if it's my normal day?
Well, maybe you don't always know, but if you do,
Go to a therapist. Yeah, they'll
yeah.
help you.
All right. So after you've done that, I want you to put a little star beside three things that need your attention today. Something that cannot wait, that needs to be done. And then I want you to just put a circle around the rest. And I want you to say, I'm letting this paper hold this for me for now.
Yeah, give it to somebody. Give it to the paper. Get it out of
Exa-
your head.
Yep. I look at it like, I don't know, like if you've seen, like Harry Potter and Dumbledore has that pensieve where he pulls out memories and puts it
Hmm.
in the little bowl to remember for later. I kind of think of it like that, like
Ah,
Dumbledore's pensieve where you
that's a
just,
good visual.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So then I just want you to take three slow, deep breaths, good in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel your feet on the floor. So I want you to kind of feel grounded. All right. And then I want you to just pick one item of the starred items that you have, and I want you to write down the next smallest step that you need to take to accomplish that. And that will convert that clutter into action.
Mm. For the declutter.
Yes.
Okay. I'm still taking my deep breaths because that felt good.
Good, good. It will.
And don't keep it in your head. Write it out. Just like she said, get some paper because it's some even more therapeutic when you write it out.
It absolutely is, and you're gonna remember it better too when you
Mhm.
write it out, honestly. Because I like, in my example from yesterday, I got reminders for this thing. I did on my phone, but I didn't write it down, and I did remember the thing that I needed to get to bring home. So because I wrote it down, so we remember things better when we actually do physically write them down.
Yeah, because I get desensitized. Well, I am desensitized to all of the alerts I have on my phone because they'll go
Me
off and
too.
I don't even read them anymore.
I don't either. They've got good intentions, but they don't work
Mhm.
for me. But those
Mhm.
sticky notes definitely do. So this is just a good way to just, lay it out there, let you see it, because when it's in our head, it's just spinning around. It's just
Mhm.
like monkey mind, just bouncing around up there. And we've got to put it out there and actually, just look at it and decide what really needs our attention right now.
Yeah, that helps to prioritize. That's good.
Mhm.
Prioritize and put it out of your mind. Because then
Exactly.
even that it bounces against all of the other million things that you're doing, so it never really get the specific attention that it needs for you to
Right.
do something with it because it's competing with
Exactly.
all these other things. Yeah.
Right, and so you're less, engaged in what you're doing, you're less present, and, so this may help you become a little more present and a little more mindful.
Okay. Now, after somebody clears their mind once, especially they have this one thing that they put the that one item they put the star by, how can they create a daily habit that prevents emotional clutter from building up again, especially with that one specific item?
Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is just try to build maintenance around it and make it more of a habit. So it could be a really good practice in the morning and in the evening. Just take about 5 minutes, and write down, and priorities, and just park the rest. Just write down the priorities. Put those little stars that we talked about. Do that in the morning and in the evening, because in the morning it helps set the intention for the day so that you kind of have a clear mind starting it out, and at the end of the day, it helps clean out that clutter so that maybe you can get better sleep. So you're not thinking about it
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
night, because that's when people really start to really feel anxious
Mhm.
and begin to overthink some things. So if you can just put it out there on that piece of paper and let it go, before you go to bed, that can be a really, helpful thing. But also, in addition to that, make sure that you limit your notifications. Maybe have a specific time of day that you check your email, that you check your messages. Just try to set aside pockets of time instead of randomly throughout the day doing it. And I know I'm guilty of doing that. I think we all are. But if you could find a way to set aside just a specific time, like this is my email time, this is my 10 minutes for email. So have that set aside, and then just make sure that throughout the day you're taking breaks, you're doing some stretching, you're doing some breathing, you're sticking your head outside to get some fresh air, just to clear your head, just throughout the day, on a regular basis. That can go a long way. And then in addition to that, just make journaling helps.
Mhm.
Taking a walk to clear your head literally really does help a lot if you have an opportunity to do that. And I've even encouraged clients sometimes to use their phone to do a verbal dump. In the voice memo, or there's a journal app on most iPhones these days, and you can just do a verbal dump that way as well, if you've really got a lot on your mind. Um,
Mhm.
so those are some steps to maybe maintain some of this that might be helpful.
Yeah. And then writing things out as well helps you to see the progress or lack of progress or what didn't work and what you could do different next time. So there's all
Yep.
kind of nuggets inside of these nuggets that you're given today that they
Yeah.
can really
Yeah.
use to help them to declutter their mental clutter.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right, we appreciate you. Y'all need to go back and watch and make sure you write down those steps. First, you should have written down what the clutter was. That's what we did on the break. And then she broke down some steps that you can apply directly to that thing that you wrote down during our commercial break. Well, Miss Lisa, let the audience know where they can reach you, and if you have some kind of special offer, what you have going on, so that they can connect with you more.
Sure. My website is csosolutions, plural, .net. And my email address is lisakinglpc@gmail.com.
Awesome. So, did these mental declutter exercises help you today? I know they did. And you can go back and do it to each different item that you have that's cluttering. Not just one item, do the other one, the next one, and then the next one, then the next one. Because if life has felt mentally noisy lately, this episode may be exactly what you need. And if these conversations that we had with Miss Lisa today helped you, subscribe to Girl Talk Mental Health so you never miss an episode designed to support your emotional well-being. And we want to thank you. Any final comments or anything for the audience before we tap out today?
I really appreciate you having me on. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And we appreciate all of the great things and this solutions and exercises that you gave to us. So thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for Girl Talk Mental Health. Remember, your mental health is your wealth. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to at Virginia Del Manning.